UK boxing blogger coming back at you. Right, I'm gonna just put this out there, this comment, right? I'm gonna try and avoid staying away from the whole Mayweather Pacquiao issue because I believe it's the ruination of boxing. I think it has severely compromised the belief systems of every boxing fan in the world because of this whole mess. I don't think there'll be the same whining and moaning and critiquing nature on the YTB as there is if this fight would have just happened. I think it's just this one sole fight not happening has manifested itself into every deep corner of the boxing world, and all the views and opinions on everything, from the way we view fighters and all that, is all done solely because of this shit. As far as I'm concerned, there's going to be a lot of people out there that completely disagree with me, and I understand it. They want to believe that their views are completely impartial and they judge fights and see fights and based on just their own natural beliefs, but it is their own beliefs. But when the boxing world at the top is running a certain way, and we're all in this environment, we're all like massive fans, and we live, eat, breathe boxing all the time and all that, and the environment you're in, you will succumb to it. And we have factual. Every habitat, every environment that you're in, you will come into it. You will adapt to it. And that's what we have done. Whether we like to admit it, that's what's going on. We're always criticizing fighters and stuff like that in the same way, or assessing people's resume and records and what they've done and how they've done it, all because of the debate of Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, in my opinion. Right, so I'm just going to give my opinion because at the moment it's relevant because of what's fucking going on. I'm going to not just come out with these comments without their adjustable reason for it. Right, so Manny Pacquiao puts out a tweet the other day about he sees on the All Access Aftermath thing or whatever it was, epilogue or some other thing, that Floyd wants no part of him, and he's just said, look, no, I can really understand how Floyd don't want any part of me, or something like that. Floyd then repeats a message of him getting knocked out. But then Floyd's dad tells Floyd, my son ain't said anything to me, but this fight's gonna happen. Pacquiao's tailor-made for my son's right hand. This fight will happen. It's the biggest fight in the world, man. This is it, and it's inevitable to happen. Then Floyd tells the same guy, there's always people getting maneuvered and moved out of Mayweather promotions, and if my dad carries on talking like that without consulting me, certain things that ain't true, he'll be gone. I'll have to find myself a new trainer. So, given all the previous evidence, what I'm going to go into in a minute, the hardcore Mayweather fans, or the extreme Manny Pacquiao haters, are still going to justify this guy, and still going to believe this guy actually wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. I'll tell you two reasons why he don't want to fight Pacquiao now. Because if he has a close fight with Manny Pacquiao now, who's half done, people are going to always say, well, if they were in their prime, Pacquiao would have probably beat him. Because if it's close now, Pacquiao would have had much more of a chance when he was much quicker on his feet, much more powerful, could move his head and didn't pull back, and with his hands held up straight, and he was always bobbing head movement in and out. When Pacquiao had them sort of energy levels that he brought up from the lower weight divisions before he started getting old and losing his like speed and energy levels that you naturally do when you're that kind of fighter, he would have probably beat him, and I'd be one of them fans. So he's in a lose-lose there. So if he has a close fight, if he loses to Pacquiao now, then everyone's going to say, well, Pacquiao would have murdered him years ago. So unless Floyd can dominate the hell out of him now, which I don't think he can, and he probably knows he can't now, what's the point? He's just gonna fuck himself up, and he's just gonna expose himself. So Floyd's gonna just damage his legacy. But on the other hand, I can't see how Floyd can damage his legacy more than he's already doing by not fighting Pacquiao. So it's like he has to do it, in my opinion. Like Floyd's gonna be forever known as the guy who, not for like a 2-year window where they could have fought. You know, Pacquiao and Floyd had like a free 2007 or 2008 to 2012 or 2009 to 2012. But hardcore boxing fans, don't quote me. Somewhere around that, they had a good 3-year gap and 4-year gap where they were both in their prime for 3 years. Really, they should have fought. Pacquiao gets robbed by Bradley. Not the biggest robbery in the world, but Pacquiao clearly won the fight. Somehow it went the other way, but I don't believe it was the biggest robbery ever. But in a way, Marquez then knocks Pacquiao. Then Floyd's like, nah, don't want anything. So Floyd feels like at that point Pacquiao was done, and there was never going to be another need for the fight. So he had just waited out that period. So he'd already done 3 years of avoiding. But then since that against Awards, Pacquiao's come back. And now Floyd don't like it because he thought he'd waited out that period like he'd waited out many a fighters in their prime, in my personal view, right, in the past. That strategy has always paid off for him. And he's never had to be confronted with it again because he's waited people out. And he justifiably can avoid them, in my opinion. So then Pacquiao's come back again, and now it's all coming again, and he's just waiting again. But it's not going away now. It's going to taint his legacy. He has to man up and fight. And let's just go back in the past. You know what smoke screens are. None of us pretend to. None of us like bullshit ourselves now and start saying like Pacquiao was offered £40 million. Why did he take it? Why the fuck would Pacquiao take £40 million when the fight was twice as big as this now? Pacquiao would take £40 million now, probably, even though that'd probably be a little bit underpaid. Back in the day, as 50 Cent and that said he was in negotiations, they were 100 million each, shooing. No problem with all the sponsorship. Why would Pacquiao do that? Floyd did that offer. It would have never been a serious offer. Because if he would have agreed to it, he wouldn't have probably fought in a way. And it was just a smoke screen offer. Manny Pacquiao has probably been, at best, negligent towards making this fight in the thing that I'm not going to let Floyd take the absolute piss out of me. No. Like any person would do. That's it. And you've seen Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao's not the kind of guy to call out people and constantly drum the band. That's just not in his personality. Never has been. So that you can't criticize someone for that. But what he has said on numerous occasions, you can go to loads of videos and loads of written pieces that, yeah, I want to fight Mayweather. Oh, yeah, I hope it happens one day. Yeah. But you go into numerous videos and numerous written quotes on interviews and actual words coming out of Floyd's mouth is, why should that fight happen? I don't want to fight that. I don't need Manny Pacquiao. His pay-per-view numbers ain't this. His pay-per-view's number that. I don't get it. Doesn't matter about that. If you go and look at the Forbes lists, Manny Pacquiao's been at like number 2 or 3 before. Manny Pacquiao he's on the Forbes list this year. For boxing, he's number 2. And he's like right up there as one of the best paid athletes in the world for the last fucking 5 years, 6 years. His numbers are the second best in this boxing era, probably, or somewhere around Miguel Cotto over consistent basis. Pacquiao's probably better than Miguel Cotto, actually. I think that's actually a fact, right? So in a way, how can Floyd criticise? He's going to get two giants come in. He's going to make one big thing. So Pacquiao brings his fucking 900,000. Floyd brings his fucking. I know it's not going to work like this, but he's only getting 900,000 now in a way with bum opponents. So he brings his 900,000. Then the big fight happens, and they'll get prop 2 million plus buys for sure. Even now, they'd probably got fucking 3 million years ago, or 2.5 million or some ridiculous number. They'd get pay per view all around the world, because Pacquiao Mayweather would be pay per view in England even. It would just be fucking huge. Floyd don't want to fight Manny Pacquiao. How much proof do you need? You know, how can anybody justify or try and defend the actions of Floyd Mayweather for not wanting this fight? And how can you blame it on a fighter like Manny Pacquiao who has fought anybody in his way throughout his whole career? And I'm not just saying this, but Floyd's got history going back to featherweight days, super featherweight, light welterweight. Clearly, he's got history of avoiding guys, big time. You know, that's not factual. Not like now, like going over in recent years. There is some big fights that he never made at welterweight back in the day, and there's fights now he ain't making, and the biggest fight of all he ain't making, and they're that's clear in my opinion. But you know, there's a bit of history there back in the early resume as well, in my opinion. Right, so then you've got to ask yourself now, why back in the day did Floyd Mayweather mention drugs when he's working with the same guy now? See, it's all a smokescreen. You know, if anything, the whole world now will always taint Manny Pacquiao with being a drug user, PED guy. Don't you think Floyd should be held responsible for that? He's started a smear campaign and ruined somebody's. Pacquiao, to the whole world and the casual fan, probably, if it's his ranking as the best fighter of all time, it is now like 33, yeah, or probably better than that, you know, if you actually look at his achievements. But in a way, he probably would be 21 if there wasn't this element of doubt lingering over, which Mayweather criminally put out there. It's just embedded in people's minds. That's just the way it works. Like this whole Mayweather Pacquiao bullshit. It just manifests into the back of your mind. It compromises your belief just even a little bit. Is compromisation of the highest degree, in my opinion. You know, so I just think this whole time Floyd Mayweather has been ducking the fuck out of Manny Pacquiao for like, it's about 8 years, ducking the fuck out of him. How can you argue that? And in a way, just want to put out there, Pullcountertv, you need to debate me on this issue. We have a hardcore live debate. Get it up there. We'll send out a message to everybody, and we'll get on at it, because there's a lot to debate about this issue. Floyd's even been sued for this shit. Defamation of character. He should have got sued for a lot more, because the lasting effect and the opinion of real boxing fans has really been compromised on it, in my opinion. In a way, let me know what you think, guys. UK Boxing Blogger out.